Good day, everyone, and welcome to the discussion of Course Packet 5, which is credit. To all my students who haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe now. And for those who are listening or watching to my video, kindly subscribe also to my channel. Our discussion for this video is about credit, which is part of Module 2, Money Management. Based on our last topic, we discussed the different money management tools. And the different money management tools again are the income and expense statement. Then we have the statement of financial position, the spending plan, which you can apply for personal use or which you can apply for family use. So if you're going to look back our lesson before, we have the preparation of statement of financial position, which includes the computation of our liabilities or what we owe. And what we're going to have now, which is the discussion of credit, will be very useful in determining our financial position in order to determine our financial worth. Of course, we will start with the definition of credit or what is credit. This word is very much familiar with us, even though we are not a management or business student. This word is very familiar with us. So at a young age, lagi na natin naririnig yung word na utang or pautang. Yung mga parents natin or yung mga members ng family natin, naririnig na natin itong word na credit or utang. Ngayon nga, there is a word which is connected to the word utang or pautang or credit na ngayon daw pag sinabing gustong mangutang or mangungutang, yung word na kumusta ka, that means ang kasunod na nun is pautang. But of course, since we are here in a school, we have to educate ourselves what credit is. So on the concept of personal finance or on the concept of finance, ano ba talaga ang ibig sabihin ng credit? I have here two definitions of credit. So other than these two, there are still different definitions of credit. So talaga namang ganon, we could derive different definitions on different terms on how we perceive it. So I just took two definitions of credit na we are applying on the concept of finance. Okay, so have a look at it. So take note, class, that in credit, it is considered as a contractual agreement, whether in writing or whether oral. So usually, ang common na nangyayari is it is just an oral agreement between the borrower and the lender. So wherein the lender will give something of value to the borrower or the borrower will receive something of value from the lender, and the borrower will agree to repay the lender at a later date that usually agreed upon also by the borrower and the lender. So sometimes there is an imposition of interest, and then oftentimes, so sa nangyayari, lalo na kapag mga private individuals, wala nang imposition of interest. Another definition of credit is that it is an arrangement that allows consumers to buy goods or services now and pay for them later. So actually, class, when we talk about arrangement, it is sort of a contract, whether again oral or in writing. So what's good about credit, you can able to enjoy goods or services now without having a cash outlay because you're going to pay them later or on a future date. This part is also familiar with you. We call it as the three C's of credit, and of course, it is applicable on the part of the borrower. So, you will be assessed in accordance with your character, with your capacity, and capital. So, in character, this will dictate if you are willing to settle your obligation based on your financial history. Are you paying your liabilities? Are you settling your accounts on time? So that will be dictated by your financial history. So that will dictate your willingness to settle the obligations. And then your earning power, your source of income right now will dictate your capacity to pay the obligations. And then your financial worth, that's the reason why background or credit investigations are being conducted in order to determine what your assets are, what your liabilities are, to determine if you have different properties that can be foreclosed in case you wasn't able to settle your obligation. One important consideration in credit is the presence of finance charge. So you will be very much lucky if the lender will not impose any interest or any finance charge on your account or on your credit. So take into consideration the charges being imposed by the creditor or by the lender, especially if you are availing it coming from a financial institution or in a merchant that charges interest or different amount of money over and above on what you owe. So finance charge comes in the form of interest and other fees being imposed by the creditor. So meron tayo kadalasan, may mga processing fees sila. So aside sa mga processing fee, kapag meron kang mga default sa payment mo, meron silang mga surcharges na pwedeng ipatong pa doon sa account mo and other fees na kung minsan hindi natin alam, so we have to be aware of it or we have to ask our lender about it. Kaya nga, one advice to us is to make sure that there are no hidden charges being imposed on the credit that we had availed. That is for our safety. Dahil kung hindi, mababaon tayo sa utang. If you can avoid credit with a finance charge, so you have to watch out for the following factors because this will largely affect the amount of charges that you're going to pay in the future. So usually, it will, of course, depend on the amount of credit used or the principal amount borrowed or the value of the goods that you had able to purchase. And of course, not only the value or the amount, but the interest, the annual percentage rate or the interest rate imposed on the credit. And another one is the time involved. So usually, the monthly payment, the monthly amortization is lower because the time involved is longer. But if you're going to compute it, there is a higher imposition if it is in a longer time. So you have to look at these different factors. You have to go back to our lesson 3 in the computation of simple interest and compound interest on how you could able to minimize the interest or other finance charges by looking at the principal, then looking at the interest rate and considering the time. So before you avail a credit, so you have to make sure that the lender that you're going to choose will charge you the lowest possible finance charge or else you will suffer in the future. And again, you have to look at the different hidden charges dahil iyon ang isa pa sa makakapagbabaon sa atin sa utang. I would like to remind everyone that the concepts we are discussing in personal finance will not be limited only here in our subject. So you can able to use it already on your day-to-day undertaking. It will be very useful to you once you are already at work, once you have your own family already. Okay, so the concepts that you are learning right now, in addition to anything that you are adding on what I am discussing on our subject, so will help you develop your skills in money management, will develop your skills in personal finance. So yung concept na yan, class, na mga natutunan natin, it will just remain a concept if you're not going to apply it. But if you are applying it, that becomes your skills and that will help you attain financial health in the future. So as what I'm always saying to you, you are very much lucky kasi mga bata pa kayo, ang dami pang panahon, but do not take it for granted na sasabihin natin, bata pa ako, marami pa akong time for that. So you must start at this point in time, you must start at a younger age. So isipin ng iba sa inyo, ma'am, wala pa naman akong i-manage na pera. So eto lang na pag-aaral ninyong mabuti, eto lang na pakikinig ninyo sa mga discussion na ito, unti-unti nang na-mindset, no? Ang mga sarili ninyo. Kasi sabi ko nga sa inyo before, mag-umpisa tayo sa mindset. Kasi kung hindi tayo naka-mindset pagdating sa mga finances natin at yung willingness natin to attain financial freedom someday, wala talaga tayong maa-attain. Hindi natin ma-apply yan, hindi natin ma-develop yung skills na yan. So class, there will be different things that we will be exploring in the future pagdating sa finances natin, and one of it is credit. So as we are protecting our personal reputation, kasama palagi dyan yung credit reputation natin. Lalo na in this time, no, na nandyan yung social media, na meron ka lang hindi nabayaran or meron kang na-order na na-cancel mo, parang that dictates already a negative impact on your personality, on your personal reputation. So yung mga ganong bagay, kailangan pangalagaan natin. And on our own, we have to determine our own debt limits. So, hindi si borrower ang magdidikta ng debt limits natin. Hindi si creditor ang magdidikta ng credit limit natin. Kasi as far as the creditors are concerned, gusto niyan malaki ng malaki yung utangin natin, ang mabaon tayo, or mas malaki yung kitain nila. So, in maintaining good credit, so you have to assess yourselves, you have to assess your financial worth, you have to assess your capacity in order to determine how much credit could you able to avail. Okay, so next three. So you have to check different credit reports being given to you regularly. Do not take it for granted kasi sometimes baka ang nagkakamali din sa mga statement of account natin, sa mga computation ng mga charges natin or interest natin, yung creditor natin or yung lender natin. Okay? Ito yung next natin, that never do it. Huwag tayong maging guarantor. Huwag tayong maging co-maker in any type of loan. Kahit na mga relatives natin yan, kahit na close friends natin, i-deny natin yan. Except siguro kapag asawa natin, no? Because our husband or our wife is already, no, half of our life. Pero kung boyfriend, girlfriend natin, kahit boyfriend at girlfriend natin yan, kahit gaano natin kamahal, have a second thought on it. Kasi mag-asawa nga nagkakahiwalay pa what more yung mga girlfriend and boyfriend pa lang. And it is not a test naman na true love ka. Sasabihin mo, ay hindi mo ako mahal kasi hindi mo sinayin tong aking, yung pagiging co-maker mo. So it's not the measurement of true love. You're just protecting, of course, your asset dahil everything is uncertain in this world. So if you're not going to agree with me with that situation, okay lang ha, but at least I advise you, no? Kaya We have to look at our future. Of course, we have to look at our future na siya na yung gusto nating makasama. Pero there are different factors minsan that beyond our control na pwedeng maging reason para magkaroon tayo ng separate lives, no? Okay, then, in order to avoid additional charges, of course, no, you have to pay on a timely manner. Let's move on with the different uses of credit, or the good uses of credit rather, and the advantages of using credit. Okay, let's have the first set of good uses or advantages of using credit. So we have for convenience, for emergencies, to make reservations, and to own expensive products sooner. So imagine if you have a capacity to avail a credit, no? If you have that credit power, you don't need anymore to bring a lot of money with you na napaka-uncomfortable naman and also very risky. So having that power of credit, no, you don't need anymore to carry much amount of money, especially if you are granted or approved with a credit card. And then credit also can be used for emergency purposes. So usually nga sa household, eto diba? Eto madalas yung mga bumubuhay or nagsusuporta sa pang-araw-araw nating pangangailangan. Then another one, to make reservations, lalo na pag maganda yung credit history natin, di ba? Kadalasan tumawag lang tayo sa merchant, tumawag lang tayo sa, let's say, mga hotel yan, mga venue na i-reserve natin, we can able to reserve that. Then to some, of course, they are accepting or they will accept your reservations if you have a credit card with you. But to some naman, talagang yung credit power lang talaga ang ginagamit nila, and they can actually call the store, call the creditor or the lender, then they could able, no, to reserve a certain place or location for you. At eto yung mga techniques, no, kaya meron tayong mga home credit ngayon, yung mga hindi maka-avail ng credit card. You can able to have your gadget now, your laptop now that can be used for online classes, or yung mga appliances natin, furnitures, yung bahay at lupa natin, yung sasakyan natin, and other expensive items. Now, you can have them by using credit. And that is a good advantage, no? So, akin personally, nagamit ko tong mga bagay na to have things na meron ako ngayon. Okay, next set, no? So talking about good uses of credit pa rin, yung mga home credit natin, yung mga credit cards na yan, nag-offer kasi sila ng free credit. So that means, even though you are paying them on a monthly basis for 12 months or 24 months, free credit, so that means walang finance charges, walang additional interest na kailangan kang isettle kahit na 1 year or 2 years mo pa siya bayaran. Okay, then, to consolidate debts, kung minsan kasi ang dami nating mga utang, may mga financial institution na nag-aalok na, yung mga utang na yan, pag samasamahin mo, ilipat mo na lang sa amin, and then we will offer you a lower interest rate. So with that, you are not anymore thinking na may due date ka sa creditor A, creditor B, creditor C, kasi na-consolidate na lahat ng debts mo into one creditor. Then, for protection against rip-offs and frauds. So, eto naman kapag we are using it electronically, no? Especially yung mga transactions natin na ginagamitan natin ng mga credit card pa rin, or we are doing the transactions online, may mga internet banking tayo, mobile banking tayo, madali nating matitrace, no? Kung meron tayong mga transactions that we didn't transact at all, Kasi may mga safety precautions na ginagawa yung mga creditors na yan for us. So let us say yung mga one-time password, yung mga security code na kailangan muna nating i-disclose before it will be granted to us, or ino-notify tayo ng mga bangko or ng mga financial institutions na yan if someone is using our account, no? So meron silang control measures on that. And then, lastly is to obtain education. So, lalo na sa ibang bansa, no? Kasi meron silang mga tinatawag na mga student loans. So, dito naman din sa atin, meron din naman, no? As long as meron tayong guardian that could able to guarantee the payment, we could avail also an education or student loan. So, I've mentioned about fraud. When it comes to different financial institutions natin, yung mga banking institutions natin, we often hear yung mga scam, yung mga hackers, mga nagko-complain about sa kanilang mga account, sa mga credit card nila. Kasi ako personally talagang na-experience ko din naman yun, no? Na may gumamit ng online banking ko at may gumamit ng credit card ko. Pero naiayos ko naman yung dispute sa bangko, na i-report ko naman kaagad. So, I am not, I really don't know what happened. Bakit nagkaganon? But of course, in totality, hindi rin naman hahayaan ng bangko na masira yung reputation nila. In case man, kung totoo man in case, kung sakali lang na totoo na mga inside job doon, siguro hindi naman 100% ng employee involved doon sa inside job na yon, di ba? Hindi naman lahat ay dishonest na employee. Pero kadalasan talaga, merong mga scammers, meron talagang mga hackers na kayang so meron tayong mga phishing activities ngayon na mga nauuso para masimot talaga yung mga account natin sa mga bangko or magamit yung mga credit cards natin. Kaya ang advice nila, do not use online banking or internet banking sa mga free na Wi-Fi facilities na sasagap tayo kung saan-saan. Kasi iyon yung kadalasan na way nila para ma-hack yung mga account natin. And again, never disclose your personal information, mga one-time password, kung kani-kanino man. Lalo na kung ikaw ang tatawagan. Dapat tumawag ka mismo sa bangko at make sure na yung tinatawagan natin, yung hotline nila, yung official number ng banking institutions na yon para safe tayo. So, isa din yun sa mga responsibility natin as the account holder. Okay, one, those are the advantages of using credit. So, eto lang yung mga disadvantages. So, actually, parang kasama na nga yan, classify na nga yun as the disadvantage. Kung hindi ka nag-avail ng credit card, kung hindi ka nangutang, wala kang dapat ipagka-worry, di ba? But, of course, if there are advantages, there will be disadvantages. So if you have loans, if you have borrowings, if you have credit, that will reduce your financial flexibility. So if you are earning 20,000 a month and you have to settle 10,000 pesos for the amortization of your car loan, so that means you just have 10,000 pesos to use to. So kung dati meron kang 50,000 dahil may binabayaran kang housing loan na 25,000, you just have 25,000 pesos to spend with, di ba? Nababawasan yung ating capacity to spend because of our credit, because we have to prioritize them, of course. And then also it is tempting to overspend. So if we have that credit power, kaya nga akong ginagawa ko, I never bring my credit card kapag napupunta ako sa mga mall, except otherwise talagang meron akong bibilin. Kasi it's very tempting na since wala kang cash, alam mong may credit limit ka, let us say hanggang 100,000 pesos, nakaka-tempt na kumaskas ka na lang ng kumaskas. Ibig sabihin ng kumaskas, gamitin mo na lang yung credit card mo para makabili. And of course, yung last, no? So, interest is costly. Hindi lang siya yung simpleng interest, no? Hindi lang siya yung compound interest, but mostly if you are in default, everyday na no? The interest will be compounded daily. Imagine that. That will be very costly on the part of the borrower. So we have to manage our credit. Nowadays, class, it is very common, no, to obtain credit. It is easier to obtain credit. Nitong nagka-pandemic, ang dami mga nagte-text na you can avail a credit without a collateral, then minimum lang yung mga requirements natin. Sa mga malls, may mga mag-aalok sa atin. Meron ka bang valid ID dyan? So even a valid ID, pwede ka nang makapag-avail ng home credit, pwede ka nang makapag-avail ng credit card. So yun lang yung mga simpleng requirements to obtain credit nowadays. Hindi na kagaya dati na napakarami pang mga documentary or marami pang mga papers or documents na kailangan nating isubmit before we obtain a credit. So but if obtaining credit is easy, meron kang ID, meron kang trabaho, meron kang certificate of employment, you can able to obtain a credit. But the problem is that how you're going to build a good credit reputation. At yun talaga ang mahirap panindigan. So you have to watch out for your credit reputation because that will dictate your credit power or credit ability in the future. But before that, of course, we have to know the credit approval process. Kasi minimal lang karaniwan yung mga requirements. Let us say, hiningan ka lang ng ID or hiningan ka lang ng certificate of employment. Bakit hindi tayo na-approve? So this is how you are being validated, or this is the process of the credit approval. So the first one is the credit rating. So sa credit rating, they are the lenders, the creditors, the financial institutions are judging you. No? Merong mga criteria for judgment. May credit rating na tinatawag in order to evaluate you if you are your willingness, no, and ability to pay the debts. So that's the reason why papasok dito yung 3 C's of credit, yung character natin and our capacity. Next one is the credit report. The lender, the creditor will establish your record or will look at your credit history. So, importante yung mga previous loans natin. Importante yung mga previous credit natin. So, dyan kasi nakikita if we are paying on time, no? If we are paying on due date, kung hindi tayo mga nagkakaroon ng mga penalties at ng mga charges. So that it's very important to build a good record or a good history in order for us to have a good credit report that could possibly lead to the approval of our credit. Okay, then next to it, we will be given the credit score. So, nilalagyan tayo based dun sa rating at sa credit history natin. We will be classified if we are a high-risk borrowers. So, that means parang suntok sa buwan pag pinautang natin to. Kasi based on the record, based on the rating, based on the history, palagi siyang may default. And then, pwede rin tayong ma-classify na okay to good. So, may mga konting mga non-payment pero nababayaran, may mga delay naman, pero kung titignan natin as a whole, their rating will be or your score will be an okay to good. And then excellent, ito yung kung titignan natin yung 3 C's of credit, excellent siya. And then if we're going to consider yung mga credit niya, kahit gaano kadami, very timely or even advance magbayad, no? And then yung iba, hindi na niya hinihintay na matapos, let us say 12 months ang agreed period, pero nababayaran niya within 10 months or on a shorter time, kaya sila yung mga nakaklasify as excellent borrowers. So that will dictate yung approval ng credit natin. I know you are interested of knowing your chances to be approved of granting a credit. So once you are interested in availing a credit or availing a credit card, it will undertake the credit approval process, which involves the following step. So first, you will be applying for a credit, and then there will be a credit investigation to be conducted by the lender. And based on the investigation, the lender will decide whether to accept your application or not and the terms that will be given to you. The first step for the process, of course, is you have to fill up an application form. You can have it online on some situations na ipe-permit ng lender natin. And then you have to attach, so whether online or whether in writing, you have to attach or you have to give supporting documents. So supporting documents such as certificate of employment and compensation, your income tax return for the past year, and then you have your payslip, and then some lenders require you to present bank statements, lalo na kung malaki yung amount na hinihingi natin or gusto nating i-avail. So if we are having a business, we have to present also yung mga business permits and registrations natin. If it requires, kailangan din natin magpasa ng mga financial statements for our business to support our claim. And then, you have to examine na lang ano-ano pa ba yung mga additional supporting documents. So, most likely, the documents that you're going to attach there is the one that will certify or signify that you have the earning capacity or you have the ability to pay. So, yung iba, kapag talagang mga real properties na yung mga ina-avail na loan, most likely, hihingan tayo ng mga malalaking amount ng properties na pwede natin gamitin as collateral para mas malaki yung chance din natin na ma-approve for the loan. And then also on the application form, yung mga credit contacts natin, mga character references natin, importante yan. So in case meron tayong mga credit card, so they will also ask those things sa ating application, pati yung mga home credit and other debts natin. And then, yung mga bank accounts natin, hinihingi lang naman nila most often yung kung saang bangko ka, may mini-maintain na savings account or time deposit or current account, and also the address of the bank, name of the bank, address of the bank, and the date of opening. So class, once you have a work already and you open a savings account for your payroll, or let us say it is a form of savings account wherein dun pumapasok yung sweldo natin, usually ang maintaining lang nun is 100 pesos. Kung mag-resign na kayo sa trabaho at hindi naman nire-require na i-close yung account nyo na yon sa payroll account nyo sa bangko, i-maintain nyo yun. Kasi ang maganda sa payroll account class, pag-classify nito ay 100 plus lang naman or 100 pesos lang yung maintaining balance nila. But karaniwan sa payroll account is its capacity to earn interest is very minimal. You still have to reach the 5,000 or 10,000 daily maintaining balance in order to earn interest. So, ang gusto ko lang sabihin sa inyo, huwag tayong pabago-bago ng account sa bangko natin. Kung gusto ninyong aside sa payroll account natin, mag-open kayo ng savings account, mas maganda. Gusto ng mga lenders natin, especially ng mga banking institutions, na meron tayong account that are existing for a very long time. So, on my case, yung account ko sa BDO ngayon, dalaga pa lang ako, no? More than 20 years ko na siyang account. So, nag-umpisa lang din yon sa payroll. So, nabago-bago na yung pangalan ng BDO. So, naging Equitable PCI Bank pa yon bago naging BDO. But still, iyon pa rin yung account ko. Kaya, pag tinignan yung credit standing natin at ikaw yung tipo ng borrowers na hindi pa bago-bago ng bangko at ikaw yung hindi mag-open tapos close ulit ng account, mas malaki yung chance mo na ma-approve yung loan natin. Okay, the next one is the lender will conduct a credit investigation or a background investigation. So make sure that before signing your application form, you reviewed it. So everything, lahat ng nilagay natin doon are the facts or yung mga true, yung mga totoo talaga ang nilagay natin doon. Huwag tayo mandaraya. So also sa mga supporting documents natin, huwag tayo maglalagay ng mga hindi totoo, ng mga gawang rekto lang, na imbento lang natin. So any false statements may lead to rejection because the lender will conduct a credit investigation. So the reason for conducting a credit investigation is that they will not rely, of course. No, yung reliance nila doon sa nilagay natin sa application form is not that high. So they have to conduct credit investigation. They have to ask different persons. I-investigate nila, tatanungin talaga nila yung mga employer natin, even yung mga kapitbahay natin, yung mga nilagay natin na credit reference natin, character reference natin, if you really have the capacity to pay, kung talagang nagtatrabaho ka ba doon, talaga bang ganito yung sweldo mo, talagang nakatira ka ba sa lugar na yan. So they will do that as part of the credit investigation. Kaya nga, ang sabi, if you will be applying for a loan, make sure na friends mo, yung mga kapitbahay mo. So make sure na friends mo, yung mga co-employees mo. Then, make sure na maganda din yung standing mo sa kumpanya kasi sila yung mga pagtatanungan, hindi ikaw. Sila yung tatanungin, they will vouch your credibility on them. And also be careful din dun sa mga social media accounts natin, baka tignan din yan. Baka kasi mamaya may mga nagtatag sa atin ng mga binila natin na bogus buyer tayo or namimili tayo, hindi naman tayo nagbabayad. So it will tell something about us that might affect the investigation or the findings of the lender. So you have to watch out always for your credit reputation kasi once you did the mistake sa una, ang hirap nang makabawi pagdating sa susunod. So on the basis of the findings of the credit investigation, the lender will decide whether to accept or to approve or to reject your application. So if your application, if you are lucky enough to be accepted for a credit or approval of a credit card or approval of certain loans, so there will be a contract between the lender and the borrower. So if you will be applying for, let us say, credit card, there will be a credit agreement. And then if it is in a form of any type of loan, it will be in a promissory note. So meron tayong contract na isa-sign. And most often, we have to, of course, yung mga terms and conditions ng lenders ang masusunod and we have to adhere on that. So the approval of our loan, of course, will be based on our credit rating, will be based on our credit history, will be based on our credit standing. So what we had done in the past will affect the probability that we will be getting the approval or not. So class, sa totoo lang, kapag nag-apply tayo ng loans sa mga financial institutions, chine-check nila yung ibang mga bangko, yung ibang mga financial institutions, kung may mga existing loans tayo sa kanila na outstanding, na in default. Chine-check talaga nila yon. Kasi yung mga banking institutions na yan, they are connected with one another. So, kuminsan kasi pirma lang tayo ng pirma sa mga terms and conditions nila. And part of their terms and conditions is to allow them to investigate or to make inquiries on other financial institutions. Kaya magtataka din tayo minsan yung mga information natin nalalaman ng ibang bangko. Kasi binibigay din yon ng ibang bangko sa ibang bangko kasi part yon ng minsan pirma tayo ng pirma, hindi natin alam. Part yun sa mga pinipirmahan natin that we are giving them no, the right to give our basic information sa ibang financial institutions. Kaya maging maingat tayo, basahin natin yung mga terms and conditions. And again, so sabi ko nga sa inyo dati nung lesson natin about opportunity cost, about trade-off, yung case natin dati kay Lacey, dun sa car loan niya, na realistic lang naman na bayaran niya yung loan niya kasi nga if the loan becomes in default, siya din ang magsasuffer. Yung credit standing niya, pag na bad shot tayo, na blacklist tayo sa isang financial institution, may mga cases pa nga na we want to go abroad pero naho-hold tayo sa immigration because of the unsettled liabilities. Kaya make sure na someday we manage our credit para maging hassle-free yung ating mga transactions or yung buhay natin. Okay, so that's it for video 1 of our course packet 5 about credit. So I hope you had learned something from this discussion. Okay, bye everyone and have a good day.